A 7-year-old girl stands at the kitchen sink on a Saturday morning, scrubbing dishes. Her hands are barely big enough to hold the sponge. When she finishes, she walks to her dad, who opens a small notebook, writes something down, and hands her $3 bills. She takes them, counts them, then walks straight to her piggy bank and puts 2 of them inside. She didn't spend it. She chose not to. And that choice? It didn't happen by accident. A landmark study from the University of Cambridge found that money habits are essentially set by age 7. Not 17, not 27, 7. The patterns children form around saving, spending, and delayed gratification in their early years follow them into adulthood, shaping how they handle debt, careers, and financial stress for the rest of their lives. And American parents, quietly and consistently, have been responding to that window for generations. By the end of this video, you'll understand the 4 specific habits American families use to raise financially confident children and why they work on a developmental level, not just a practical one. One of these habits is surprisingly simple. One of them is genuinely uncomfortable to implement. And I'll be honest, there's one on this list I personally found hard to accept the first time I encountered it. Stay with me. You don't need to be American for this to work. You just need to understand why it works. And then it becomes yours to adapt. The first concept is called the Earned Allowance, and it sounds simple until you understand what it's actually teaching. In many homes around the world, children receive money as a gift. For birthdays, for good grades, for being well-behaved. American parents do something structurally different. They tie money to work, not as punishment as a mirror of reality. A child completes their assigned household responsibilities, dishes, trash, folding laundry, and receives a small predetermined amount at the end of the week. Here's what I find fascinating. The money isn't the point. The earning is the point. Research from the University of Minnesota found that children who did regular household chores from an early age were more likely to succeed professionally, maintain healthy relationships, and show greater independence as adults compared to children who didn't. The key mechanism, according to developmental psychologist Richard Weisbord at Harvard, is that chores teach children they are contributors, not just receivers. That internal identity shift has measurable effects on confidence and responsibility well into adulthood. The second habit is called the 3-jar system, and this one is where the real financial education happens. When a child earns their allowance, many American parents sit down with them and divide the money into 3 physical jars. One labeled spend, one labeled save, and one labeled give. Not metaphorical jars. Real ones. Clear ones so the child can see the money. In many cultures around the world, children are taught to save. American parents teach something broader, trade-offs. The child learns, week by week, that every dollar spent on candy is a dollar that doesn't grow in the save jar. Every dollar that stays unspent is a dollar they'll feel the weight of later when they can finally buy that thing they really wanted. That tension is the lesson. Picture a 9-year-old boy who's been saving for 11 weeks to buy a Lego set. He finally reaches his goal. His mom drives him to the store. He picks it up and then sees a smaller toy next to it. Cheaper. He could have it today and still have money left. He stands in that aisle for a full 5 minutes. He puts back the smaller toy. He takes the Lego set to the register. Nobody told him what to choose. He'd already lived through the lesson. A 2018 study, published in the Journal of Family and Economic Issues, found that children who practiced dividing money into categories before age 10 showed significantly stronger financial decision-making skills at 18, including lower rates of impulsive spending and higher rates of long-term saving. The physical nature of the jars matters too. Neuroscience research shows that tangible, visible representations of abstract concepts like money accelerate comprehension in children under 10. Here's the thing nobody tells you about American financial parenting. They let the child make bad decisions on purpose. This is the concept I'd call the safe mistake. And it's the one I personally find hardest to sit with. In many homes around the world, parents protect children from financial errors. If a child is about to waste their money on something cheap and forgettable, a parent steps in. They redirect. They advise. They save the child from the disappointment. American parents often don't. They watch. They stay quiet. And they let the child spend their entire week's allowance on a plastic toy that breaks by Tuesday. Why? Because the sting of a bad decision made with your own money at age 8 in a safe environment is a lesson no lecture can replicate. Psychologist Wendy Mogel, author of The Blessing of a Skinned Knee, argues that children need to experience manageable failure to build genuine resilience. Her work, grounded in decades of clinical practice, shows that children who were protected from every mistake showed higher anxiety around financial decisions as teenagers, not lower. The brain learns risk assessment through lived experience, not warning. The fourth habit is the one that surprises people most. The give jar, the third jar in the three-jar system, is not an afterthought. In many American families, it's treated as a non-negotiable. Children are expected to set aside a portion of their earnings for someone outside themselves. A local food bank, a neighbor, a cause they care about. In many cultures around the world, generosity is modeled by adults and admired in children. American parents do something different. They assign it, at age 6, with actual money the child earned. Here's what I find fascinating about this. It reframes the child's identity from earner to contributor to the world. That shift in self-concept, I am someone who gives, has profound implications for how a child develops empathy, purpose, and long-term well-being. Research from the Greater Good Science Center at UC Berkeley found that children who practiced regular giving showed measurably higher levels of life satisfaction and social times compared to those who didn't, regardless of the dollar amount given. The act itself rewires how the child sees their relationship to others, and starting that habit early, tied to real earned money, makes it stick. I want to be honest, this doesn't work the same way for every family. If money is genuinely scarce at home, the dynamics around allowance and jars carry different emotional weight, and forcing the structure without sensitivity can do more harm than good. The principles here: earned effort, intentional choices. The experience of giving can be practiced even without cash, but the full system works best when it's adapted thoughtfully to your family's reality. This week, try one thing. Sit down with your child and give them 3 small containers. They don't have to be fancy jars. Label them spend, save, give. The next time they receive any money, from you, from a grandparent, from a birthday, let them decide how to divide it. Don't tell them the right answer. Watch what they choose. Because the goal isn't to raise a child who knows what money is. It's to raise a child who knows who they are when no one is watching and chooses wisely anyway. If this changed the way you see your child, subscribe. There's a lot more coming from Bloom School.